Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're continuing our Pac-12 football predictions today, and our next team started the season 5-1 last year before they got hit with tons of injuries, which derailed the whole season, and they lost their last 6 games, just missing out on a bowl game. And they are Arizona State Sun Devils. So Arizona State, as we know, usually has a very good offense. They do return 13 starters this season, 7 on offense and 6 on defense. Todd Graham is there. It's going into his 6th year at Arizona State. Last year ended their streak of 5 straight bowl games, so that was very unfortunate. But in those 6 games that they lost, the last 6 games they lost, the closest game was a 5-point loss to Washington State. They got blown out in every single game after that. So it was really unfortunate ending for Arizona State, but that's what happens when you get hit by all those injuries. So hopefully this year will fare better, just like USC. Not USC, UCLA. If they can stay healthy, they could be a dangerous team. But the schedule is very dangerous and very brutal this year, so we'll just have to see how they're going to do. So really, the first 2 games should be pretty easy. They do return Wilkins back at quarterback, and they also get their running back. So the offense, as always, will be good. Defense might be a little bit of a question, but they do have 6 returning starters. Shouldn't be an issue. Hopefully they can work out any problems they have in their first 2 games against New Mexico State and San Diego State. I think that'll be a win there. San Diego State's obviously no pushover team. They're coming from the Mountain West, always usually towards the top of the standings in that conference, but shouldn't be a huge problem for Arizona State. And then they got to travel to Texas Tech. If you remember last year, that game was a 68-55 Arizona State victory. It was a late night game. Tons of offense. It was a very exciting game to watch. And I would expect the same out of this game this year. Even though it's on the road, I expect tons of offense. Texas Tech, led by Cliff Kingsbury, they're usually very dynamic in their offense. Nick Shimonek's there at quarterback, so he's obviously going to put up some big numbers, I think. So expect tons of offense this season for that game. But because it's on the road, and because I think Texas Tech, they also return 13 starters, I think they could be a dangerous team in the Big 12, maybe cause a few upsets. I'm going to give Arizona State the loss there. And then Oregon. Team Arizona State has played close a couple of years in the past. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe last year, they took that team to 3 overtimes. So it was a very fun game to watch. They always give Oregon a fight every now and then. This year they draw Oregon at home. So I think that Arizona State might be able to get this win at home. Oregon returns, I think, 17 returning starters. They get Willie Taggart a head coach. So they're going to be a very dangerous team down in the North Division of the Pac-12. But Oregon, I think it's pretty early in the season. It's only 4 weeks in. They might still be trying to figure out who they are, still trying to figure out their identity. And if Arizona State can put up the numbers on offense like I expect, I think they'll be able to pull off the upset at home over Oregon. I know that game could be a little bit of a stretch. That's one that I kind of really debated on for a little while, kind of thinking about if they were going to be able to upset Oregon or not. That really could go either way, but right now I'm going to give them the win because I do like that it's at home. And then Stanford, a team that returns 16 returning starters, very dynamic on both sides of the ball. We all know that. It's on the road. Arizona State's a talented team with 13 starters back, but I don't feel like they're at the point where they can compete with the USCs, the Stanfords, the UCLAs, those kind of guys yet. And even with being on the road hurts them even more, so I'm going to give them a loss there, which isn't bad. Going into the bye week, first week of October, they're 3-2. It's not bad. They only have 1 conference loss. And that Texas Tech game, like I said, is really going to be whoever can score the most and whoever can get a stop first or whoever has the ball last even, because I think there's going to be tons of offense in that. They could potentially win that. I just don't think it's going to happen for now. Then they get one of really the best team in the North Division in Washington. We all know how good they are, how good they did last year, and how good they're going to be this year. Don't really have to talk much about that. I think they are going to defeat Washington will defeat them this season. Jake Browning and their offense, and Chris Peterson, one of the greatest coaching minds in the game, I think, is going to take easy care of that. So Arizona State is unfortunately going to lose that, even though it's at home. Be a heck of an upset if they could defeat Washington. Be really fun to watch, but I just don't see that happening. And then they travel to Utah after that, a team that just added Darren Carrington at wide receiver, could play a little bit of a factor. They also, their quarterback, he returns, and Troy Williams at Utah. It's another tough road game for Arizona State. I think they're going to lose that game. Like I said, the key to this season is going to be staying healthy for them. And I know the offense is going to be good, but the defense is going to be some questions. And with it being on the road at Utah, a team that's still going to be decent in their division, I don't think they're going to be able to defeat them. And then USC, obviously the best team in the South Division, no doubt, in my opinion. I have them going 11-1. They do draw USC at home. They lost to USC last year. That was actually the beginning of USC's streak towards the end of the season. I think they lost by 21. Arizona State did. And that was the beginning of USC's rise back to power in the Pac-12. So even though they get USC at home, I think they are going to lose that game, unfortunately. And then they get Colorado at home, a team they got just annihilated by last year on the road. Colorado, though, has 9 returning starters on offense, but only 3 on defense, which could bode well for Arizona State, considering how dynamic their offense could be. I like that at home. It was one of those games that when I was picking Colorado, I was really struggling with, trying to determine who was going to win it. But the deciding factor for me was that it was at Arizona State, and I think they're finally going to get a win there, their first win since the Oregon game. That'll bump them up to 4 wins. And then UCLA and Oregon State, back-to-back conference games on the road. UCLA, I feel like, much like Arizona State, could have very good offenses, but the key will be to stay healthy. They both had some injuries last season, which derailed both their seasons, and Arizona State actually did better than UCLA last year, finishing 5-7, while UCLA finished 4-8. So this year it's on the road against UCLA. I don't see Rosen dealing with any injuries, at least I hope not, for his sake, and I feel that UCLA is going to be too good of a team to defeat the Sun Devils, and that's going to be a loss for Arizona State. And then Oregon State, a team led by Gary Anderson. He's going into his 3rd year at Oregon State. He returns 15 starters. I know a lot of Oregon State fans and analysts are projecting them to get to a bowl game, and that's not too much of a stretch, actually, for Oregon State. They have the talent is there to get them to a bowl game. They're just going to have to pull off a few upsets. A lot of their winnable games are on the road. This year they get Arizona State at home, so that's going to be a very fun one to watch that late in the season. Right now, though, unfortunately, this is one of those toss-up games, but I'm going to give Arizona State a loss there. I don't like that it's on the road, and I feel like Oregon State has improved, and they're going to do a little bit better than they've done in years past. And then they get Arizona at home, final week of the season. Really, they don't have much to play for more than just pride right now because they're sitting at 4 wins. And, it's a big rivalry game. Usually these games are pretty good. They get Arizona at home. I know it's not a huge deal being at home since it's an in-state rivalry, but still, nonetheless, I feel like Arizona State is more talented than Arizona right now, and I think they're going to get the win over the Wildcats in the final week of the season. And that will give Arizona State a 5-7 record to finish the season, just like they did last year, actually. They finished last year with a 5-7 record. If you wanted to look at games they could possibly win that I have pegged as losses right now, I really feel that those games would probably be Oregon State and maybe Texas Tech. But I really don't feel too comfortable with either of those because they're both on the road. So we're just going to have to wait and play it by ear. But right now, they will finish 5-7. They have the potential to get to 6 wins and get back to a bowl game since they missed out last year. But right now, for Sun Devil fans, I'd be expecting a 5-7 season. But we'll just have to wait and see. It'll be very exciting to watch their dynamic offense. So please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. Love to hear what you guys have to say. We're going to continue our Pac-12 predictions, and we'll see you next time on the Gridiron Expert.